Hey everyone, welcome back to Norman Reviews. We're in phase 2 of the Age of Apocalypse, where we're looking all at the issue number 2s of the Age of Apocalypse issues. And where the fuck is my pointer? Hold on. Here it is. Anyway, so we're looking at X-Men number 2. This came out of the Cable series. And, yeah, this is X-Men. He is a younger version of Cable, or what Cable could have been. He wasn't, born. He wasn't birthed. He was created off the genetics of Cyclops and Jean Grey. And he's pretty fucking powerful, and they keep explaining that in this. So, we start off and took the opportunity right off the bat to fucking draw her ass pointing at us. And, what is this with her booties? Is she like a Who from Whoville or something? I don't know. But this is Domino, and she's flip-flopping around and fighting what I'm guessing is Omega Red, but he's not called this, but that's who he is, I guess. And she's on the tail, on trying to figure out and find out where X-Man is, because I think it was Shadow King with Apocalypse, identified a very powerful mutant, and Apocalypse told her to track him down and either convince him to join because he's so powerful or to kill him. So that's what she's doing. And for whatever reason, she runs into Omega Red here. And this guy's like, "Nyet!" Apocalypse made a mistake sending a lone female on a fool's errand. So this guy, Omega Red, isn't worried about her. But she's like, who said anything about being alone? And out comes this guy, Grizzly. He was a character in the X-Force and Cable comic books. He was somebody who knew Cable back in the day and wanted to, bring him to justice for whatever reason. But, there's Rusty. Hey, buddy. You were on the bed with me, and now you're here. Do you just follow me around wherever you want? Cool. All right, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. And it talks here about how Rusty's always in my way and making my life a living hell. But this guy went on a murderous rampage in the Rocky Mountains. Nearly 100 men lost their lives trying to bring him in. So, any other time this guy would have been put to death, but under Apocalypse's vision, he was put to work. So he comes in, busts Omega Red right in the face, but apparently Omega Red down here just retaliates and hits him back. And I found it funny. There's this big move, Rusty, come on, buddy. Big double splash page introducing Grizzly, and then he's like, roar, and then he's just kind of dealt away with by this Omega Red guy. He's like, we eat bears like you for breakfast in Russia, so that's funny. So then he comes charging at Domino, and I don't know, she does this move where she stabs him in the stomach, I guess. What about, I guess he's not the Omega Red we know, so he's not as powerful and as strong and whatever, and he has a death factor in the main universe, but apparently not here. But he's down and out, and she basically kills him, it looks like. And then they were also introduced to Caliban here, who has the ability to hunt down mutants and track them. So these three are looking for Nate/X-Man. So here we go. Choosing sides is what it says. And there's here he is. There's Nate, and he's yelling at somebody, some fucker or sucker. We got Jeff Loeb writing, Steve Scrooge on pencils. Not a bad artist. I like him later as he gets on. I'm not digging his art too much in this series, but that's just me, and I'm allowed to have an opinion. So X-Man's here, and he's yelling at somebody, and he's being trained by a version of Forge who looks all fucked up. And Forge has this group of do-gooders going around and helping people and trying to fight Apocalypse, I guess. They don't really have a name. But back here you have Brute, and there's Toad and Sauron, of all people. And then there's a Siren, who they saved last time, but they call her Sonic, I guess. Sonique, Sonique. And there's also Mastermind. But anyways, they're doing a training exercise here, and Forge gets the better of him and says your cockiness would get you killed elsewhere. And he basically beat the fuck out of Nate here, where everyone is like, hey man, this is not cool. And Nate here kind of gets pissed off and says back off, and hits him with this TK, telekinetic flash of energy, or TK blast. And he's like, yeah, I just need you to be ready. You can't always rely on your powers. Just a training moment. X-Men are always training. But Forge is talking with these guys, and he's worried that he's just pushing Nate away and pushing him in a direction that he doesn't really want. And he talks about, and he's referring to Essex. Rusty. This kitty cat. Use kitty. Okay. And this is Mr. Sinister. He showed up at the very end of the first issue, and no one knows he's Mr. Sinister. No one knows who he is. Sinister has the ability to morph, and I guess. So he looks like this dude, and he gives himself the name of Essex, and he has like this diamond in his forehead, like dead giveaway, you dumbass. So he's part of the group too. So they got 2 new recruits in the last issue. Sonic, I'm going to call her Siren because that's what I know her as, and Essex as Mr. Sinister. Essex here, throughout the comic, we're showing that he's also trying to help Nate learn about his powers, but he's kind of pushing him a little bit more. And he's telling him here, like, hey, you're really powerful telekinetic. Do you think you can fly? And instead of using his powers to lift objects outside, he turns it inward and it starts hurting him, but he figures it out and he fucking flies. Look at this! I'm doing it! I'm flying! And he's all fucking happy down here. He got him to fly. He's creating a big spectacle of the thing, too, where the others are like, hey, like, god damn it, like, calm down. We need to keep a low profile. But he's all proud of himself about the glory of unlocking his power. Because I think, Mr. Sinister created him more or less to overthrow Apocalypse, I want to say. Or use as a weapon against Apocalypse. Oh, Rusty. He's in a box. He decided to get in a box. Cute kitty. So anyways, Sinister's all happy with himself for getting him to realize more of his potential. And then later they have some kind of a meeting. And they're kind of contemplating whether Essex should be here or not. I don't really know. But then Essex tells them about a place of unspeakable horrors that he knows of. Because he talks about how he doesn't say he's Sinister, but that he was working for Apocalypse, right? So he knows of this factory where unspeakable horrors occur daily. And they're like, well, we should go check it out and see if we can put a stop to it, whatever it is. And Forge is a little reluctant. He's like, it's only recon. And we look and we leave. And they're like, okay, cool, got it. But this guy, Brute, he's on the team, right? And he's kind of a simpleton, he's strong, but kind of a dummy. But he recognizes Essex. He knows him from someplace, but he can't quite place it. So here we go to this factory. And they bust in, cut through the wires. A lot of craziness, crazy architecture. That's something that I just can't wrap my brain around when it comes to drawing something like this out of my head. So good on him for being able to do that. And they go in and they find this weird, crazy laboratory. And it explains here that Dr. Henry McCoy, chief scientist for Apocalypse, the Beast, he puts people's genetic makeup. He basically puts them in combines their sludge into something to make trying to like make better alpha class elites, or extract enough DNA to provide a worthwhile supplement for the alpha class mutant. He's trying to make better foot soldiers by just experimenting on people. But it's gross and it sucks, and like Apocalypse is in negotiations with the humans, and part of that was to say shut this down. So everyone thinks it's shut down, but it's not. So they're checking it out, and there's the Madri. They're these weird kind of fanatical foot soldiers of Apocalypse that are mostly shown in Amazing X-Men. And X-Man, Nate here, he's like, oh, this is fucked up. We got to do something. This is wrong. But then somebody behind them says, halt, you're, surrender now. They get found out, right? And Nate's like, fuck you, man. He zaps them with a TK blast. Everyone starts fighting. These infinites, these soldiers come in. And Nate here's like, okay, everyone's fine. Now time to do some real damage. So he goes flying into this vat of sludge or whatever. And I don't know what he does, but it looks like he destroys it. He fucks it up pretty bad, to kind of put a damper on these experiments. But then there's this Madri, or whoever this guy is, and has this weapon and shoots Nate, and he goes falling out of the sky. And Ford is pretty pissed off. This is what he was hoping to avoid. But Essex, Sinister, he's watching. He's like, wait, no. He shouldn't have been defeated so easily. So Ford is trying to get them to evacuate, get out of there. And as these guys are getting ready to, fucking kill Nate, he wakes up, hits them with some kind of telepathic power, literally shuts their mind off. But this guy sees it. It's like, oh, God, that's a telepath. Apocalypse needs to be told. And as they're leaving, Forge is yelling at Essex about, why did you do this? Why are you pushing him so hard? So wherever they're at, in an abandoned farmhouse, they're all sleeping. But Nate, he wakes up. He's about to leave. He wants to go do something, take off. But Siren here stops him. And Nate's talking about he saw terrible things, more horrible than you can imagine. He needs answers, and he's not going to get them from Forge or Essex, so he has to find out himself. So he's like, okay, I'm going to go with you, since it's dangerous. He's like, okay, this is a weird panel. There's his fist, right? And there's her. And it took me a minute to, what are they whooshing away? But are they flying off? But no, they're doing a weird psi-link where he can project himself psychically into other places and see what's going on. He did it last issue where he was kind of sneaking around the X-Mansion, and he saw Magneto and Bishop, but then, he was never revealed to them. But that's what they're doing here again. And they go to this house, and it's the X-Mansion. And they come through and they see Magneto hanging out with his little baby Charles. And Magneto's talking to himself and to his son. But somehow, they're coming up and they should be invisible. They can't see or hear them. But somehow Charles can. He's a child of Magneto and Rogue, so he probably has some kind of powers, right? So Magneto figures out that there's somebody there, and he gets fucking pissed off. Who dares, invade my home, come out from the shadows now? And Nate's about to talk to him, but Siren breaks this link for some reason. She's like, you have any idea who that was? And I do now. It's Magneto. And it's like, let's see. He's asking why would Forge keep him from him? He keeps talking about how Nate's destined to do great things. Why would he not be around Magneto, who's kind of the biggest gun in the resistance against Apocalypse? So that's kind of the question he's asking himself about this. And then it goes to, there's Brute, and he's coming up on Essex. And he says, like, I wasn't always dumb. I was in Apocalypse Pens, and somebody experimented on me. But now I remember, and I remember who you are. So Sinister here, he's like, oh, okay, it looks like my shape-shifting abilities aren't, like, perfect. Somehow your dumb brain figured it out. But I'm not willing to let the others know yet. So off screen, they're in they're in a farmhouse with a stable. And it just shows these horses as something off screen happens as he's yelling, no! And then in another part, Forge comes up to Essex and he wants to talk about what's going on with Nate. But before they can really get into it, there's where Grizzly, Domino, and Caliban show up. They're tracking Nate, so they've caught up, and that's the end of the issue. So, typical comic. It's showing what Nate's up to. He's getting more powerful. He's learning more about the world. So that's interesting, I guess. So tell me what you think about this comic. Give the video a like, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.